Boys, what's going on? Welcome back to the stream. Let me just hook everything up quickly. Let's see this. There we go. Let's see. Make sure everything's good. Yep, perfect. Just set a goal quickly. Bang. Let's pull this up. I always have my little things that I get to do pre-stream.
How many subscriptions?
Oh. How many subscriptions do we got? What is this? Whoa. What's going on, John? There you go. You're the number one. You're the number one chatter. Oh, there we go. All right. Anyways, I apologize for that. So let's get right into it. Welcome back to the stream. For anybody that's new here, I stream every day during the week, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Weekends, Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern time. But anyways, we had some interesting news, to say the least, that came out since the last time we talked. And the first thing is Tony Ferguson. So before further ado, let's get right into it. So Tony Ferguson's set to box Salt Papi on a card headlined by Darren Till and Luke Rockhold. This is the influencer boxing scene. It is really unfortunate, if I'm being completely honest, just because Tony Ferguson, it was pretty clear that this guy was done for a while, and he just continued to fight in the UFC way longer than he should have. But finally, he retired, and even after he retired, it seemed like he wasn't too sure about it. But he retired, and at this point, it seems like he's back. He's boxing against Salt Papi. Not even to say Salt Papi is some amazing boxer, obviously not. But at this point, he has a decent amount of power, I guess, and some skill, and Tony's pretty much done at this point. So you really just don't want to see this guy take more damage, and unfortunately, I think he may. What's going on, Patrick? Welcome to the stream. Just started watching it. Definitely. Thanks so much. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, we're growing. We're growing at a pace. Obviously, I'm just continuing to put out content, doing more live streams, building a little bit of a community here. And I appreciate. Thanks so much for that comment. That was really nice. And I appreciate everybody for being in the streams, watching the videos, and yeah, I'm definitely going to be pushing out some more videos as time goes on. I think starting next week or the week after, I haven't made up my mind yet, I'm going to switch to 3 videos a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as opposed just to the 2 on Wednesday and Friday. But anyways, yeah, thanks so much for the comment. But yeah, so Tony Ferguson's back. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm a Tony fan, but at this point, he probably should have retired a while ago, and he did, but he's back. Darren Till versus Luke Rockhold is an interesting one. I'm assuming Darren Till is going to win that fight. Luke has never been known for a great chin, but especially at this point, after all the damage he's taken over the years, and Darren Till actually appears to be a pretty decent boxer with good power. So I'm assuming he's going to win that. But hopefully for Tony's sake, he's able to have some success, maybe find a win. I unfortunately highly doubt it, but maybe you can find some success, and we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, outside of that, I just wanted to talk about this upcoming card once again. Obviously, this is it's officially fight week for UFC 318, Holloway and Poirier. It appears that this card is, obviously it's not amazing on paper. The name value isn't extraordinary, but I think it's probably going to be pretty good in terms of entertainment value. We'll see what happens to the main event. I fully expect Max Holloway to win. Listen, you can never really count on Dustin Poirier, especially with all the motivation he has. It is his retirement fight. He has beat Max Holloway already 2 separate times He does have, pretty good power as well for the lightweight division. But at this point, I kind of think it's a different Max Holloway than the guy that fought Dustin Poirier the last time. I think at this point, he's moving up nicely to 155. They had a couple face-offs already. It doesn't appear at this point that Max is all that much smaller or smaller at all, honestly, than Dustin Poirier. So I think that's going to play a role in this fight. I think he's going to be able to take shots a little bit better. I think he's going to land shots a little bit harder this time around than what he was able to do the first time, or the second time, I should say, when they fought for the interim belt. I think the real problem for Max Holloway the second time when they fought for the interim belt was he was having some success. Yes, he was landing punches in combination. He was backing Poirier up. And, those little moments he was having success. But there was a significant difference in the power. When Dustin would land, it appeared that, it was hurting Max Holloway, and Max could land a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 punch combination. And outside of just putting Poirier on the defensive for that time, it didn't really seem like it did too much damage to Poirier. But I think at this point, moving up, putting on more weight, moving up to 155 in a better way, also alongside with the fact that he did just knock out a guy with a great chin in Justin Gaethje not too long ago. He also hurt him a bunch of times throughout the fight. I think at this point, Max Holloway just has more power in his hands. And I think that's going to be a big differentiating factor between this fight and the couple of times that they fought in the past. So yeah, that should be interesting. Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov. I'm definitely rooting for Paulo Costa. I mean, he's a funny guy. He could be a fun fighter, but at this point, he just doesn't fight enough. He's super inactive, but also when we do see him out there, he's not aggressive anymore. After that Adesanya fight, it just seems like it's a different Paulo Costa out there. So I assume that Kopylov is probably going to win this fight, but if Paulo fights, the way of old, which is saying something at this point, we haven't seen the old Paulo Costa in years. But if he did fight, similarly to the way of old, just pressure Kopylov, get into that boxing range, throw a bunch of shots, I think he could win the fight. Kopylov is really good at range where he can throw body kicks, leg kicks, head kicks. But when you really pressure this guy, push him back, we've seen him gas in the past. And I think Paulo could do that to Kopylov. But at this point, based on all the inactivity, I just think it's difficult to predict that to happen. So I guess Kopylov is going to win that fight. And then for Holland and D-Rod, I'm very, very confident that Kevin Holland's going to win this fight. I think he's going to win by finish, either TKO or submission within the first 2 rounds. The welterweight Kevin Holland is actually a good fighter. When Kevin Holland moves up to 185, yes, he does have a lot of trouble, stopping takedowns. And when he does get taken down, he kind of gets held down at that weight class. But at the welterweight division, Holland does a great job at stopping takedowns. Even if the fight does go to the ground, he has a good submission game. On the feet, obviously, he hits really hard. He has a great chin. He has a lot of good skills and a lot of good ability for the welterweight division. So going into this fight against D-Rod, I don't think D-Rod is really going to have much for Kevin Holland, honestly. I think it's going to be a relatively easy fight for Holland. It's possible that I'm overlooking D-Rod a little bit, but I do think this is a very good stylistic fight for Kevin Holland. So I'm very confident he'll get a finish within the first 2 rounds, but we'll see what happens. Then Patricio Pitbull and Dan Ige. This is probably going to be a pretty fun one. I know Pitbull had a pretty bad performance in his first fight in the UFC versus Yair, but I also thought Yair was just a terrible stylistic matchup for him. Yair is just a guy that, fights at range, utilizes a lot of kicks, and for Pitbull, he's a counter striker, and he's going to be ridiculously patient, sometimes to a fault, like we saw in the Yair fight. There was never really an opening for him to counter based on the fact that Yair was just throwing kicks at range. But in this fight versus Dan Ige is going to be, obviously he's a much shorter fighter than Yair is, for one, but for two, he's going to be super aggressive. He's going to pressure Pitbull a lot. He's going to throw a lot of punches in combination and just throw a lot of singular shots as well. And I just think there's going to be a lot of openings for Patricio to find counters, maybe land a big shot, maybe find a finish. So I do kind of lean with Pitbull in this fight. I think stylistically, it is a pretty good matchup. I get he didn't have a great performance in his first fight in the UFC. I get he is also pretty old at this point, but stylistically, I think it's a pretty good fight for Patricio Pitbull. Then we have Daniel Zellhuber versus Michael Johnson. I fully expect Zellhuber to win this. He kind of has the youth and he's also pretty good. Michael Johnson at this point, he's taken a bunch of losses. I mean, he's a 24-19 record, but the thing about Michael Johnson is he just has ridiculously fast hands, and if he's able to land a quick 1-2 or a quick left straight or whatever on Zellhuber, who knows? I mean, it's possible he could knock him out. Zellhuber also showed a great chin in some previous fights, but still, you always have to worry about that hand speed. It really catches guys off guard, and I think we were able to see that over the years. But Michael Johnson's we kind of already know what kind of fighter he is, and he's just he's just a guy with very fast hands and decent striking. But there's a lot of openings for Zellhuber to counter on the feet. Then Vinicius Oliveira and Kyler Phillips. This is also going to be a good one. I made a video about this that just came out today. If you guys haven't seen it, be sure to check it out. But I fully expect Vinicius Oliveira to win this fight. I think he's just gonna gas out Kyler Phillips. We've seen Phillips in the past gas out. What Kyler does well is he does a great job when he's on the offense. When he's pressuring his opponents, he has a great ability to throw a lot of shots. He does a great job at utilizing jab, kicks, right straight, can switch stances even at times. There's a lot of good things that Kyler Phillips does, but when you're able to put this guy on the back foot and throw a bunch of shots his way, you can really start to tire him out. And I think that's what we saw Rob Font do successfully against Kyler Phillips. And I think Vinicius Oliveira is another guy that can do a very similar thing. Vinicius is really good. I mean, he can take a lot of shots. I mean, he can get hit a decent amount. We saw that in his most recent fight. But the thing about Vinicius is he has a really good chin. He's very physical. He can hit pretty hard. And also he has pretty good cardio as well. He kind of does. Sometimes it looks like he's tired out there, but he does a great job at just pushing through things at times. So I think Vinicius is going to be on the gas for the majority of this fight, pressuring Kyler Phillips to the cage, landing a lot of leg kicks, landing a lot of shots up top. Maybe some body kicks could be big in this fight. And I kind of think Vinicius is just going to win. Either by, I could see a decision victory for Vinicius, or maybe even a third round TKO. I could see that as well if Kyler Phillips is just completely gassed out at that point. But regardless, I think Vinicius is going to win this fight. Michael Coinflip Johnson. Honestly, that's so true. Michael Johnson's either going to get knocked out or knock you out. It's one of the two. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. But yeah, it's one of the two for Michael Johnson, unfortunately. But he puts on fun performances, so I'm assuming the Zellhuber fight versus MJ is going to be fun at the very least. But yeah, then we have Marvin Vettori and Brendan Allen. Obviously, listen, Marvin Vettori is not known. Johnson's going to lose. Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to lose as well. For Marvin Vettori and Brendan Allen, I expect this probably not to be an amazing fight, but they do have beef. I know Marvin was talking a lot on the embedded, said he wants to knock out Brendan Allen. Is he going to be super aggressive? Probably not. But maybe there'll be a little bit more aggression from Vettori in this fight than normal. So maybe it can be an all right fight. But I think Brendan Allen's probably going to win this one. Johnson's record is so laughable. Yeah. What is he, like 24-19 or something? Yeah, 24-19 record on the main card of a UFC pay-per-view. It is kind of crazy. But yeah, he really is just a coin flip. It's pencil shavings described it perfectly. He's either gonna utilize that hand speed and knock out his opponent or get knocked out. That's kind of what we've seen throughout his career. Now we're getting into fights that are kind of like whatever. But Prado versus Nikolai, I think Prado's probably going to win this one. Nikolai, didn't have a great performance in his last one. He got taken down and he got finished. So I think Prado's going to win this one. Antibia or whatever. I don't really know how to say this guy's name, but this guy is like legitimately good. He has great power. He's very fast. He's actually relatively technical even for as early on in the UFC as he is, or really to MMA as he is. He's only 7-1. But I fully expect him to win against Valentine. Valentine's, he's like, I wouldn't really say he's good, but he's okay, I guess. But the thing about Valentine is he does do a great job at being aggressive, I guess. But I think it's kind of playing into the hands of Antibia. And I think he'll find a counter or some sort of knockout. I didn't even understand what Johnson was still fighting for. It's not like he's going to get a title shot. Yeah, he's not getting a title shot, but I think he's probably still fighting either because he loves the game or for money or for both. Probably for one of those reasons. That's why he's still fighting. Vittori is not gonna, yeah, Vittori is probably not knocking anybody out. Maybe he'll be a little bit more aggressive in this fight because they have the beef, but yeah, I agree. He's not knocking anybody out. Vittori is like kind of a weird one where he's kind of like he's honestly like okay at everything. He's not a horrible striker. He's not a horrible wrestler. He's not horrible. He doesn't have horrible jujitsu, but he's just not great at anything. And I think that's really his problem, alongside with the fact that he has no power. But yeah, that's kind of the story with Marvin. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. But yeah, that's kind of how his career goes. And for the early prelims, it's like whatever. There's not many great fights. Prachnio versus Jimmy Crute. I could see that being aggressive and a lot of action, but it's not going to be very technical. Jimmy Crute's not really a technical fighter. Ryan Spann versus Bretsky. I don't know. Listen, this is a fight that's set up for Ryan Spann to win, but Ryan Spann has looked so bad as of late that I think there's a chance maybe loses to Bretsky. Bretsky is terrible. He's a terrible fighter, but just because Ryan Spann has looked so bad lately, possibly Bretsky can find a victory, but I expect Spann to win that one. And Bruno Ferreira versus McVeigh. McVeigh's a newcomer to the UFC. We'll see how he looks, 6-0, but for Bruno Ferreira, he usually puts on fun performances. So that I think that's probably going to be a fun one. But yeah, that's kind of the card. As I said a bunch of times, the card is just okay. There's decent fun fights on the card. The main event I think is going to be pretty fun. A lot of the fights on the main card I think are also going to be pretty fun. But we're not getting those fights that have a ton of meaning. We're not getting that number one contender fight. We're not even getting a title fight on this card, but it's just probably going to be a fun fight. Honestly, you would prefer a card like this to be a fight night, but either way, whatever. You're not fighting for belts, trying to be a champion. What the hell are you even doing in the sport? Yeah. I mean, listen, I think MJ knows he's not going to be a champion anytime soon or compete for a championship anytime soon. So I'm assuming he's just doing it for money or he just likes to fight. It's got to be one of those two. I mean, he's a 24-19 record. He's been unranked for quite a while at this point. His days of being a legitimate ranked fighter obviously behind him at this point. So he probably just enjoys it, gets a couple victories here and there, but that's what I'm assuming why he's continuing to fight. People say Vittori traded his IQ for somebody else traded. Yeah. Vittori has absolutely no power. Like absolutely no power. It is pretty interesting to see this guy strike. I mean, I guess for the skill, or not the skills, but for the lack of power that he has, I guess it's kind of impressive that he's been able to get as far as he's gotten able to. He fought for the belt before. He's still a ranked guy. I mean, listen, Marvin Vittori's not very good, but he literally has no power, and he's able to get victories over some guys. So I guess that's impressive. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see Marvin Vittori make it all that far anytime soon. But yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Sometimes the money is more important than the belt. Yeah, for some people, for sure, it probably is. I know for Kevin Holland, he was acting like that for a while. Kevin Holland was like ridiculously active, but he would win a couple fights and he would lose. Like he wasn't really getting close to a title, fighting 38 times a year. I guess this year he's also fighting a lot, but at this point, it seems like Kevin Holland is a little bit more focused, or a lot more focused, I should say. And I think he legitimately wants to be a contender at the welterweight division and have success. But there's a lot of guys in the UFC that don't really have a chance of fighting for the belt anymore. It's kind of just for money or for the love of the game. At this point, at one point, Chance was a top lightweight contender. Yeah. So he's not getting back there, but yeah, he was a legitimate contender. Who's the hardest hitter in all of the men's weight class? Do you mean like per weight class, per division? If it's that, I would say it's Ilia Topuria. But if it's like not based on weight classes, just in general, who's the hardest? Like what I meant, I should clarify is, do you mean like the hardest hitter for their weight class or the hardest hitter in general? Because if it's a hardest hitter in general, it's Tom Aspinall. But if it's a hardest hitter like for their specific weight class, it's Ilia Topuria, at least in my opinion. You know, he one shots everybody. He was able to one shot Charles Oliveira. He one shotted Alexander Volkanovski, and although I guess he didn't one shot Max Holloway, but one big right hand really stunned him, and he was able to finish him off with a big left hook. So I think his power is pretty ridiculous for the weight class. Yeah, so I would say Ilia Topuria. I mean, Alex Pereira hits really hard, obviously. Tom Aspinall hits really hard, obviously. What are some other guys? Honestly, this might sound like a weird one, but Pantoja hits pretty hard. Figueiredo hit really hard when he was champion at flyweight. Dricus hits pretty hard as well. There's a lot of guys, honestly. There's a lot of guys. Anderson Silva is one of the hardest hitters. Yeah, that I guess the guy was, I guess his opponent was pressing forward, but that sequence when he was able to just avoid shots, like moving backwards, and he just bink, like just a easy right hand. That was pretty insane. It kind of showed the power of Anderson Silva. He had ridiculous power. Derek Lewis, yeah, that's a great one. Derek Lewis. Honestly, is the answer Derek Lewis? It honestly might be. It honestly might be Derek Lewis. Obviously, he hasn't worked on his game all that much over the years, or at least doesn't appear that way. But it just takes one big right hand or even a left hook, as we saw in his last fight. It's just ridiculously powerful. And I guess the same could kind of be said for Topuria. But the thing about Topuria is he puts his punches in combination, and eventually he'll land. But for Derek Lewis, he can be losing 4.5 rounds of a 5-round fight or 2.5 rounds of a 3-round fight. He lands one big shot like we saw against Volkov, and he finishes the fight from there. So his power is really ridiculous. John, that's it. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of guys. But yeah, if I had to say, probably would say Topuria, like for their own individual weight class, like current fighters at least. But I would say either Topuria or Derek Lewis. That's what I would probably say. But yeah. And B, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Topuria triple champ. It is possible. It is possible. It's he's potentially 2 fights away from that being a reality. Wish John Ligginer was still in the UFC. Yeah. Frickin' A. Throwback. But yeah, Justin Gaethje's a heavy hitter too. He is a heavy hitter. Yeah, he hits really hard. I wouldn't consider him to be, the hardest hitter, but he is a very hard hitter for sure. Michael Chandler, that's another good one. There's a lot of guys that hit really hard. The thing about Chandler is obviously he has no technique at all. Well, I wouldn't say no technique at all, but not much technique, and he's still able to hurt a lot of guys like Poirier, Oliveira, and Gaethje. He was able to hurt all those guys to a certain extent. So it kind of just shows how much power Chandler really does have. If he worked on his strike, I'm sure he works on his striking, but if he was able to improve upon his striking a little bit more, he could have been very elite. Hot take: Ilia is the 3 hardest hitters in featherweight history. Ilia is, I think he's number 1. Am I crazy for saying that? I think he's number 1. And I don't have to. It doesn't take much thought for me. But yeah, I don't think that's I don't know. Maybe it is a hot take, but like to me personally, it's not a hot take. I think he's number 1. But maybe I'm forgetting about somebody. But I mean, Josh Emmett hits really hard, but I don't think I almost think Topuria is like on that level or better. Chad Mendes was a heavy hitter back in the day. He was. He definitely was. Big meaty hooks. Yeah. Talk about Chandler, I'm assuming. Yeah, Chandler just threw hooks and that's it. If it lands, he'll find a finish, or at least hurt his opponent. And if it doesn't land, then he'll get knocked out. Kill or be killed kind of fighter Chandler has kind of always been. And yeah, at this point, I guess it's a little bit unfortunate, but I kind of feel like he may be done at this point. After the loss to Patty, I do think Patty's a little bit better than I gave him credit for. I mean, he definitely is better than I gave him credit for. Patty has done some pretty good things in the UFC thus far, for sure. Um, but I thought Chandler could have been a little bit more explosive like he normally was. And in that fight against Patty, he really didn't have many explosions at all. Maybe one, but usually he has a bunch of explosions. I believe Chad Mendes can KO Taporia. Can KO him. I don't know if I agree, but I respect it though. Chad Mendes had great wrestling. Obviously, he was very powerful. I mean, if he could land a shot, obviously, I would agree. I just don't know if he would be able to. I don't know, but you might be right. I don't know. The thing about Taporia, though, I will say, is he hits really hard. He has great boxing, but he's also like relatively defensively sound, I would say. And he rolls with a lot of the shots that he takes. Over the years, I mean, he's taken some big shots, sure. I mean, he's taken the head kick from Jai Herbert. Has he taken other big shots? I'm sure he has. I'm just blanking out on it, but that's really the one that comes to your mind. But for the most part, it doesn't seem like he takes like super hard shots. Yes, Max Holloway was giving him trouble. Max was landing a bunch of shots, but nothing like ridiculously powerful that could potentially end the fight. I think Taporia does a great job at rolling with most of the shots and avoiding a lot of the shots. Did everyone just dip out of the stream? Maybe not. I had this glitch, or maybe it's not a glitch prior. But yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully some of the boys are still here. But yeah. But obviously, prime Chad Mendes was very good. He had great wrestling. He was able to take down Connor. He was beating Connor until he wasn't, I guess. But yeah. But yeah, also one other thing I wanted to do quickly was go on to the betting front and give some of you guys some plays. And if you guys are interested, tag along to some of the plays. But as I said, obviously it's fight week this week, and I usually like to give some plays out. We talked about some plays that I liked last week, but I think some props are probably out at this point. It is Wednesday for a pay-per-view. I actually don't even know. I'm going to be checking this live. But yeah, some plays that I like Prado. These odds have not changed, actually. So I like Prado minus 156. I like Vinicius. This line actually closed up a little bit. It's closer than it was previous. I believe yesterday he was a minus 174. So some movement in the direction of Kyler Phillips. But I'm pretty confident that Vinicius is going to win this fight. I just think, he's more physical. He hits harder, most likely. He certainly has a better gas tank. He does a great job at pressuring opponents. And I think the pressure of Vinicius Oliveira is going to be huge in this fight against Kyler Phillips. Who has gassed out in the past against in his last fight, actually. I believe it was his last fight versus Rob Font. So I think this is a very good stylistic matchup for Vinicius Oliveira, alongside with the fact that I just think Vinicius is pretty good. But some plays outside of that, I do like Max Holloway in this fight. So I think the value is decent there. Michael Johnson, max bet. No, just kidding. Zell Huber is going to win that one. One other one that I like, though, is Patricio Pitbull at plus money. I talked about this a little bit before, but I think it's a good matchup. I think it's a good stylistic matchup for him. Jeremy Stevens, then Josh Emmett, and then Ilya. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Maybe I am overrating the power a little bit of Taporia. You might honestly be right, because the thing about Stevens and Josh Emmett is they're not known to be amazing strikers or very technical strikers, and they still were able to get a bunch of knockouts throughout the years and one shot a lot of guys. But for Taporia, he's a great striker alongside with great power. He's able to finish a lot of guys. But I guess what I'm trying to say is for Taporia, he's kind of landing punches very cleanly and very accurately. But for Josh Emmett or for Jeremy, they may not be landing like perfectly clean and they're still finding knockouts. So maybe you could say they do have better power than Taporia. MB says, I think Dustin will win again. Yeah, he definitely could. I guess really just my reasoning going into this is I think we're going to be seeing a different Max Holloway in this fight. I think the pressure and the volume that he's going to be able to put on Dustin is going to be a little bit more impactful this time around, as it appears ever since his move to 155 the second time when he fought Gaethje, it appears that he has a lot more power. And even when he was at flyweight, jeez, even when he was at featherweight, he was showing a lot more power in some of his fights versus the Korean Zombie and some other guys as well. So I just think Max at this point has a little bit more power than he did in the past. And I think that additional power, alongside with the fact that he's obviously in much better shape at this point, probably can take punches a little bit better, will take him over the edge in the end. But listen, it's Dustin's home, Dustin's retirement fight. There's a lot of motivation for him to win, and obviously he's really good. So I wouldn't be shocked if Dustin won this fight. But yeah, then but outside of that, yeah, that's really all the plays that I like. I so desperately want to take Paulo Costa at plus 200. I think he has a style to actually beat Kopylov. It's just a problem, as I said before, with Paulo. You know, I could so see him go out there, fight at range, get picked apart by a bunch of body kicks. I can so see that. And then he loses his decision. He doesn't really get aggressive at all in the fight, and he just loses like that. So that's why I'm probably not going to take it. But if Paulo can, press forward and throw a couple shots, I think he could win. Kopylov is a great kickboxing. Kopylov, great kickboxing. Yeah, I agree. He does have great kickboxing. A phenomenal body kick. Leg kicks are solid. Head kicks are solid. It's just the thing about Kopylov. If you're able to get on that inside, I think you can have success and pressure him alongside the cage. We have seen Kopylov gas in the past, but I agree with you. I mean, I think Kopylov is probably just going to win utilizing kicks. I don't think Paul's going to push forward that much. But yeah, that's kind of all the plays that I like in terms of money line. Let's see if props are out. I'm assuming they are, and yes, they are. So for the main event, I don't know. If Max wins, it's probably going to be by points. Max by KO is not even that good. A plus 420, I don't think I would take that. Yeah, for the main event, let's see total rounds. Maybe you can take this. I mean, this is not like amazing or anything, but maybe you take plus money under 4.5 rounds for the main event, but it's not amazing. Then let's see Pitbull by TKO. I think that is possible. Wow, this is amazing value. This is insanely good value. I know Dan Ige has a good chin, but I could see him, recklessly going in and getting countered by a pretty strong puncher and Pitbull. But I guess Pitbull doesn't get too many finishes. I don't know. Maybe it's not as good as I thought initially, but I might take a swing at this at plus 1,000. Let's see. EA got dropped by Alone. Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, so I don't know. It probably is pretty good value. Plus 1,000. I mean, that's great value. This is the other thing I wanted to see. What's Holland? Holland by KO is plus 200, 185. That's not bad, but I was thinking Holland. Okay, never mind. This is not as good as I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be better. What's Holland by finish? It's probably not great. Holland by it's terrible actually. Minus 135. I'm very confident Holland's going to find the finish, but I can so see Holland dropping D-Rod and submitting him with a Darce or something. So that's why I'm not super confident in taking the TKO. And even TKO at plus 195 is not that great. Holland by sub round 2, that's probably pretty good. Let's see. Holland submission round 2 plus 1,000. That's not bad. I could see the first. I could even see him doing it in the first round. But maybe the first round, it's more of a feeling out process. They're not too aggressive. Then the second round, Holland lands a big shot, drops Rodriguez and finds a Darce choke or guillotine or something, and finds a submission. I could definitely see that happening. And a plus 1,000 is probably good value. Just out of curiosity, Holland KO round 2 is plus 700. So maybe you take both of these. You put a little bit on both of these, plus 700, plus 1,000 respectively. But yeah, Holland's sub round 2 is pretty good. So that's a good one. Are the prelims props out? I doubt it, honestly. Let's see. Which one would I be interested in? Brendan Allen by sub. It is out. I don't know if it's going to happen. Brendan Allen by sub plus 500. I don't think that's good enough. Vinicius by round 3 KO. This is one I want to see. let's see. Let's see. Method round combo. This is tremendous. This is just tremendous. I'm definitely gonna be taking this. Um, I could so see Vinicius wear out Kyler Phillips, and in round three, Kyler's pretty gassed. Vinicius is putting on pace and pressure, going to the body kicks, shots, hooks to the body, um, and maybe just wears him out and melts Kyler Phillips. I like this plus 1900. I like this value. Actually, I like it a lot. But yeah, besides that, probably nothing. Span by submission. This is just such a Hail Mary. Span by submission. It's terrible. Yeah, all right. All right. So just I guess I'm kind of just throwing out a bunch of plays at this point. I think if Holloway wins, he calls out Ilya. It's possible. Yeah, I could see that. I just don't know. I don't think they're ever going to fight again. Just because for Max, I think he'll need one more win if he wants to legitimately fight Topuria. And you know, also because obviously lost him already, got knocked out. But also, I don't think Ilya's going to fight too long. I think it's just going to be one title defense, and he's going to go to 170. So I don't know if these guys are going to fight, honestly. But if Holloway wins, yeah, I probably would agree. Though I'm sure he'll call him out. He wants to fight for the belt. What happened the last time Max called out Topuria? Yeah, yeah. I think stylistically though, Max is probably one of the tougher fights for Topuria, just because he has a great chin. He fights pretty long, and he fought a pretty good game plan in their last fight. But as I said on a bunch of live streams, Topuria is kind of just inevitable. Most guys don't really have success against him, but if they do, like Max Holloway did, and like some other fighters, a couple fighters, I guess Jai Herbert did in the past. But if they do, Topuria is eventually just going to get you. He does a great job at just pressuring, cutting off the cage, and eventually finding a big right hand. His big right hand sets up everything. Obviously, he was able to finish Max with the left hook, but the right hand set it up. The right hand really hurt Max Holloway, and obviously the finish was able to come from that. But yeah. But yeah, just to reiterate some plays I like, just to simplify it. I know I was throwing out a lot of plays. So I like Prado money line. I like Oliveira money line. I also like Oliveira round 3 KO at plus 1900. I like that a lot, actually. Then I like Max Holloway money line personally. I like Patricio Pitbull. Maybe you can also take this is take it if you like. Uh, you can even take Patricio Pitbull KO. Maybe he lands a big counter and hurts him and whatever. So I like that one. Holland, I agree. MB actually gave out a pretty good play. For Kevin Holland, I like round 2 submission. Actually, what's the total rounds in this fight? This is not terrible. I mean, it's not amazing. Minus 146, but not terrible. I'm pretty confident this is going to hit. So maybe you could take under 2.5. And yeah, that's really it. I so want to take Paulo, but he's probably going to lose. But yeah, those are the plays that I like for this upcoming weekend. If I see anything new or anything additional, I'll be sure to let you guys know. But yeah, not like a ton of plays that are amazing this weekend, but some plays that I like. But most importantly, I think the fights themselves are probably going to be pretty good and pretty fun. So yeah, man. 1 second, boys. I just got to get a. No, it's not there. 1 second, boys. I just got to get a water. I'll be right back. Chat. What's going on, boys? Apologize. John, what's going on, brother? Beautiful hat or beautiful emoji, just beautiful. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping all things go well for Tony Ferguson, or somehow the fight doesn't happen. I mean, I'm happy that he's making money, I guess, but Tony's just taking so much damage over the years, man. It's pretty ridiculous. One other thing that I can't stop watching, it's hilarious, is Chael's video talking about McGregor's mini-me. It was so funny. Dude, that clip going around on X, it's just like insane delivery. It's so funny. Chael's like, I just can't stop looking at Connor's dick. I don't know if I could say that on here, but it's just so funny. He couldn't stop. He was looking at it for hours, bro. For hours. It was insane. But it's pretty funny. Oh, man. YouTube is selling you out, MB. What the fuck? You went from the number one. Man, they're selling you, bro. You went from the number one fan to the number two to now you're not in the top 3. What the fuck? I'm gonna have a word with YouTube for this. But yeah, pretty cool feature, I guess. New feature. But yeah, no, that Chael thing was just so funny. What else? Let's see if we missed anything on MMA Twitter that came out. Oh, there we go. Jailton Almeida versus Alexander Volkov is going to be at UFC 321. So that's interesting. I don't know. I think that's a weird fight. I mean, if Volkov can keep the fight on the feet, he'll have success just fighting at range, probably fighting a decision. But I don't know. I think I lean probably with Almeida. I kind of want Almeida to win just to get some new blood at the top of the division and a new guy to fight Tom Aspinall. Because if Volkov beats Almeida, he'll deserve a title shot next after Ciryl Gane. And we already saw Volkov and Tom Aspinall. So I guess I'm kind of rooting for Jailton Almeida. John Jones was talking about coming out of retirement. He says he's back. He's going to fight at the White House. The White House will mean fighting at the White House would mean the world to him. So, honestly, seems like John Jones is going to be back. But we'll see who he fights. JG2 made a new vid. Should we react to it, chat? Should we react to JG's video? I came from him as raid. Yep. Thanks so much, by the way, for MB for being a watcher of the live streams, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, it was really nice of JG to raid for sure the other day. That was really, really cool. It's never happened to me. It was pretty cool. It would be so funny if Ilya never a second balance on the Connor. Wait, what? It would be funny if Ilya never got a second belt like Connor. Wait, what do you mean? Volkov versus Almeida is a good fight. I agree, actually. It's pretty good matchmaking. UFC 321, I don't know what card that is, but it's going to be on that card. It's probably, what is that, September or October or something? Probably around that time. But yeah, it's a pretty good fight to add to the card. Now Conor McGregor says he's officially back in the testing pool and he wants to fight at the White House as well. Are we going to get a card where Conor and John Jones fight? Both fight on the card? It's possible, I guess. Defend a second belt? Yeah. That would be pretty funny. It just immediately went up to 170. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I think at this point it's well, listen, things can change quickly. Let's say this. If Islam beats JDM and what's it called? If he beats JDM and obviously he'll become the champion of 170, and Topuria doesn't have a fight booked at that point, I think it's possible we could see the UFC just being like, all right, this is a huge fight. Let's just make it right away. I think it's possible. But if Topuria already has a fight booked against either Patty, Armin, or Gaethje, they're probably just going to go forward with that. I think that makes the most sense. But listen, if you can make that super fight between Islam and Topuria, I think you just do it. Do you think they're gonna do Gant versus Aspinall or Pereira versus Aspinall? Next, it's almost definitely gonna be Gane versus Aspinall next. For Pereira, I don't know. I think Pereira could definitely move up to heavyweight. I saw him the other day. He weighed what, like 245 pounds or something like that, 243 pounds. So he definitely could make heavyweight, especially if he even put on more muscle, which is possible. But I'm assuming that Pereira is going to fight next for the belt again at at uh, at light heavyweight versus Ankalaev. I'm assuming that's going to be the next fight for Pereira, and I'm kind of going both ways. Initially, I thought if Pereira beat Ankalaev, he'll most definitely move up to the heavyweight division, fight Tom Aspinall, or fight one guy at the heavyweight division. If he beats him, then he'll fight Aspinall. But at this point, well, I think if he wins, he'll do that. But I think if Pereira loses, initially I thought he was going to retire immediately. But honestly, I could see him, if he loses to Ankalaev, especially if it's not a terrible performance, I could see him moving up to the heavyweight division and going for that third belt. I could see that. I definitely think Pereira wants to move up to heavyweight. He's talked about it a bunch of times. And I think, there could be a real opportunity for him to do so. I guess theoretically, if he wins or loses against Ankalaev, it would just be, on him to see if he wants to do that and wants to continue to fight. Don't be a rat. Rats get caught. Yeah, it's a good point. But yeah, I'm assuming Topuria is probably going to fight again. It's just the thing is where it's kind of at a standstill. I think a lot of the UFC is in a standstill at this point. A lot of champions don't have their next fight booked yet, alongside with Topuria. And with Topuria, it feels like, as I said, it's going to be one of the three: Patty, Gaethje, or Armin. But for Patty or Gaethje, there's a real chance they could just make that fight as a number one contender fight. But obviously that hasn't been made yet. And if they are going to go in that direction, it's going to take even longer for us to see Topuria fight next. And I know he already said he wants to fight in December. So I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of champions that are yet to have their title fights booked. I can see Alex move up to heavyweight to fight Tom Lyon for money fight. Yeah, I could definitely see it. I just think if Pereira, as I said, if Pereira loses to Ankalaev, I guess he still could do it. But I guess my original thinking is if Pereira loses to Ankalaev, I don't know what the excitement level would be for Pereira to move up to heavyweight and fight against Tom, at least immediately. Maybe they'll just give him, I don't know, one guy at the top of the division, top of the heavyweight division. And if Pereira can beat him, then he'll get a title shot. And I guess there'll be more interest at that point. But if Pereira is on a 2-fight loss streak and then he moves up to heavyweight and he fights Tom Aspinall immediately, I guess there would be excitement. But I just don't think it would be the same, obviously, as if Pereira wins against Ankalaev, especially if he finds a knockout. And then he moves up to heavyweight to fight Aspinall. If he did that, there'd be a lot more excitement and probably a lot more money involved, honestly. But yeah, I guess it is possible, like either way, regardless of the result, that he may move up. Or maybe he doesn't fight Ankalaev next. Maybe just moves up immediately. It's possible. A lot of champions moving up lately. We had Alex Pereira move up from 185 to light heavyweight. Now him talking about moving up to heavyweight. We had Topuria move up from 145 to 155. Now he wants to move up to 170. Islam from 155 to 170. Seems like, unless you're Pantoja, it seems like once you become a champion and you get a couple title defenses, you immediately start to think about moving up, which is fortunate and unfortunate. Honestly, it's probably unfortunate. You want to see these guys be like Pantoja, especially if there's a lot of contenders. Like for 155, I thought there was a good amount of contenders for Islam to fight, but he wanted to move up. I also thought he's a little bit big for 155 anyway, so maybe it makes more sense for him to move up to 170. But obviously, Taporia versus Islam was a great fight. The Armin rematch, I still would have liked to see that. I think Islam probably would have beat Armin, but I would have at the very least liked to see that fight. And even Patty versus Islam's interesting fight. Um, and yeah, there were definitely some interesting fights for Islam at 155. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Shine bright like a diamond. You're leaning with Dustin in this upcoming fight. Yeah, I mean, listen, Dustin could definitely win. We'll see what happens. It should be a good one. It is kind of crazy that that Dustin's retiring, but I guess it is a pretty good send off. He's the main event of a pay per view card, fighting for the BMF belt against Max Holloway. Essentially, like a guaranteed fun fight, and we'll see who wins at the end of it. Paulo Costa says he wants to fight Hamzat. I think it's going to be pretty difficult for Paulo to fight Hamzat at this point, just especially if Hamzat wins the belt. But we'll see what happens. What if Max throws the fight somewhere into that'll be interesting if Max just got knocked out immediately, or just got TKO'd immediately. That'd be interesting. I don't know. I think the UFC would have to pay him quite a bit of money to do that. I think the UFC will give Alex Pereira, Gane, or Volkov to sell us the dream that it could be an Aspinall. Yeah, that's true. Probably Gane and Volkov, but more specifically, Gane is probably the easiest fight at heavyweight for Pereira. You don't really want to match him up against a wrestler. Don't even bother. Let Pereira, if he does move up to heavyweight, just let him fight a striker out there. I think he could have success. It'll be interesting to see how his power translates to heavyweight. If he lands a left hook on Gane, which is certainly possible, does he knock him out? Does he hurt him? Does it not have much of an effect? There are definitely a lot of questions. I mean, Pereira was able to land left hooks on Jan Blachowicz, and it didn't have too much of an effect. It was at high elevation in Utah, so maybe Pereira wasn't throwing it with as much power as he normally does. But yeah, I mean, guys can keep moving up, and that's kind of the question with Taporia as well. Taporia has a ridiculous amount of power at 155 or 145 at 155, and I guess the question is, does he have that same power at 170? I think that's a biggest question mark. But in terms of skill, I think he's good enough to beat Islam or some other guys at 170. And I think the same could be said about Alex. He had a lot of power at 185. He obviously has a lot of power at light heavyweight. And I guess the question would be, how does that power translate to heavyweight? So I guess we'll see. But I agree with you. I think probably Volkov and Gane are both good fights for him, but I would probably say Gane is easier because Volkov, he has taken guys down in the past. Now hear me out. One, we know he's salty about the laws. Two, yeah, it's, we'll see. We'll see. I'll give you all the credit in the world if Max Holloway comes out there on Saturday. He throws one jab, gets TKO'd or something, or he's backing up immediately, or he just looks terrible or something. I'll give you the credit because you'll definitely be the first guy to call that out. I guess it would be pretty funny, honestly, but well, it wouldn't be funny for me actually because I bet on Max. You better not do that. My bank account would be crying. React to the schmo. He just did an interview with McGregor. McGregor has some big news. All right, sure. I'll react to the schmo. Let's see. He's the schmo with the pro. Let's see. The schmo with Kana. All right. Where's there we go. Actually, nah, bro. Sorry, NBA. I can't react to this. It's too long. Just kidding. A minute long. But all right. Bear with me for a second. So it takes me a while. Let's go here. All right. Do this. You guys can see it well. Yes, you can. Full screen this.
This is the Schmo with the pro, with the man who needs no introduction, the face of the fight game.
Who do you got for Ferguson, Saul Papi? I've got Saul Papi by KO. Most likely, yeah. Saul Papi's, I mean, he's not that good, but I think he's good enough. What the fuck? Okay, never mind. I think he's good enough, and Tony Ferguson is pretty done at this point. So yeah, I'll probably get the KO. I don't want to see Tony get knocked out or take more damage, but he wants to keep fighting, I guess. What can I do? But yeah, probably Saul Papi KO.
Game, the notorious, the champ, Conor McGregor in the flesh, Hollywood, Florida, BKFC. How we doing?
Very good, brother. Great to see you, bro. You stick on the
Seems like he's off the slopes, or maybe not. Let's see. Is he going to pick it up?
glasses and it's go time. I stick on the glasses and it's show time, yeah? So we're a match made in heaven, brother. I love it. What's the crack? You enjoying yourself at the bare knuckle? What do you think of the press conference? What do you think of the buzz? It's the electricity, the vision. This is for real, bro. I don't miss. Have I missed yet? I ain't missed yet. So
$25 million on the table for a tournament starting in March.
Wait, was this
I make
after his
25 million
thing?
champions, yeah, whatever,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Do you get me? So I'm like, we're rocking, bro. Things are going pretty well.
Things are going great. The White House, Dana White said, you and John Jones, that's a real deal.
I'm going home. I'm going to get the head down. I'm going to rest. They're testing me. I'm in the pool. I says, you always say, man, I thought that's what the pools are for, jumping in and out. But I'm back in the pool. So get ready and stay ready because damage will be done. Oval Office, White House.
The best man on the mic, the notorious Conor McGregor.
Connor's hilarious. His press conference was very good. He's a very good promoter, actually. I kind of think I think Coke is the best base for a promoter. Connor's definitely got it down. Bro's gonna pull out again with a pinky toe entry. Yeah, maybe. It would be kind of crazy to see a card in 2026. I guess at that point it would be with John Jones and Conor McGregor. Who would be the main event? Probably Conor McGregor. And he would probably fight Michael Chandler, I'm assuming. That's a huge fight in terms of like pay-per-views. I mean, that's going to be huge. But in terms of the fights themselves, when you're going to the White House, I know there were some rumors that there was going to be title fights on this card, multiple title fights. And if you have John Jones and Conor, obviously you're not going to have a title fight unless John fights Aspinall for the title, but then you're going to have Conor McGregor as not the main event. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to work that out, but it'll be interesting. Izmir, does Conor sound like Mike Tyson? Like Mike Tyson? I don't think so. I got to hear it again, I guess.
McGregor,
Let's
he
hear McGregor.
deal.
I'm going home. I'm going to get the head down. I'm going to rest. They're testing me. I'm in the pool. I says, you always say, man, I thought.
I'm in the po. I don't think so. He just needs to get lisp. But yeah, I don't know. Connor's he's hilarious. Is he gonna fight again? I don't know. We'll see. But you know, obviously talk is one thing, but both of these guys are back in the testing pool. Would you guys be happy about that White House card if it's John Jones and Conor on the card? I'm assuming Conor versus Chandler and John Jones versus, I don't know, Aspinall, or John Jones versus Pereira or Ngannou, something like that. Would you guys be happy about that, or would you prefer different fights? It's kind of like a double-edged sword for me because, in my opinion, although I know there's a lot of hate for Conor, there's a lot of hate for John, I think a card between those two guys is going to sell like a ridiculous amount. But at the same time, you know, for this White House card, it's going to be a really cool card. It's obviously going to be a stacked card, so you probably do want to see like the best fighters in the world fight on that card. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I don't really know how I'll feel. I guess we'll see what they put together. Obviously, it's next July, so there's a lot of time between now and then, and I guess we'll see who's on the card. John praying for Gon to become. Yeah, he is praying for him to become champ. I don't think he will, but stylistically, even after all the time off, even as old as John Jones is, he has such a ridiculously big advantage in the wrestling that I think what we saw last time is going to happen again. Maybe not as quickly, but he'll just he'll eventually take down Gon and submit him. Gon really just doesn't know what wrestling is, or he doesn't really know what jiu-jitsu is outside of the occasional heel hook. Well, at least against some of the lower contenders, but he is praying for Khan to win. But I think it's a pretty easy fight for Aspinall, honestly. Pencil doesn't want to see them on the card. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. For a card, like, we haven't had a card, like a ridiculously stacked card, in a while. Like, ridiculously stacked. Probably the last one was UFC 300, and it sounds like what's it called? It sounds like the White House card is going to be one of those, like, really stacked cards. So if it's John and Tom, or if it's John and Connor, probably not going to have a title fight, or maybe we'll. I don't know, but obviously it's not going to be the best fighters in the world headlining the card. So I get it. Have you watched any UFC events IRL? I have, yeah. I saw some great ones. I've seen Usman versus Colby 2. The first one was like all-time fight, but the second one was still really good. I saw that one. On that same card, it was Chandler versus Gaethje, which was a ridiculously good fight. What else was on that card? Cheeto and with the front kick. Who did he front kick? Cheeto and I'm forgetting his name. Whoever it was, I don't remember. But he got a front kick knockout. Who else was on that card? Pereira was on that card. I believe it was that one. Or no, it wasn't that one. Edgar, that's what it was. Yeah, when he front kicked Frankie Edgar. And yeah, there were some other good fights in the card. But the main two that stood out to me was the main event. Even the women's fight wasn't bad. The co-main event was Weili and Rose. It wasn't that bad. But the two big fights were Chandler and Gaethje. That was like an all-time fight. And then even the main event I thought was pretty good. I thought it could have honestly been a draw, but Usman got the dub. And the other card I went to was Pereira versus Izzy, the first one. That was a great fight. Pereira got the finish at the end. Chandler versus Poirier was on that card as well. Chandler versus Poirier, maybe this is controversial, maybe not. I thought Chandler versus Poirier was a better fight than Chandler versus Gaethje. At least, like, that first round was unbelievable between Chandler and Poirier. But the Gaethje one was also really good. So I don't know. So yeah, I saw that card. I was at those two pay-per-views, and then I was at I was at Pereira versus Yuri Prohaska 1, the first one, and that was a really good one as well. Or was that the same card? No, what am I talking about? Yeah, I was at 3 cards. Yes, so main events were Usman Colby, Izzy, Alex, and then the third one was Alex versus Yuri. All of them were pretty good cards, honestly. And Tom Aspinall became champ. Tom Aspinall became champ on that card, and he just became the undisputed champ. That was he won the interim belt on that card, and that was how long ago was that? That was forever ago. And then the other card I saw was a fight night. It was Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez, when Ortega popped out his shoulder or whatever. So that was unfortunate, but the card itself was pretty good. So yeah, some pretty good cards. Chandler too old to be fun in the Connor fight, and John Jones is going to be easy fight. Yeah. I actually think Connor's going to beat Chandler. Honestly, if they do fight, Chandler is a little bit too old, and I think he looks pretty washed. And yeah, John versus Tom. I mean, I'm sure John's going to have good game planning going up against Tom, but I just think Tom is probably just too good for John at this point in his career, or maybe he always was too good for him. So I think Tom is probably going to win that fight as well. So I do see where you're coming from. Maybe you would prefer to see, maybe like a Merab versus, this is not going to happen, but theoretically, a Merab versus Pantoja as a co-main event. And then the main event would be, I don't know, Ilya versus Islam. That'd be insane. Just the problem is you have to have Americans fight in the main event or co-main event, and there's not too many Americans that there's no American champions, and there's not too many Americans that are like legitimate top contenders either. It is kind of unfortunate, but yeah. So I think that's the limitation. Obviously, as I said, July of next year's a lot of time. There's a lot of movement or whatever. But just looking right now at some Americans you could put, some title fights involving Americans, it's John and Tom, obviously. But outside of that, Sean O'Malley, I don't think is going to be fighting for a title anytime soon, or maybe never again. Honestly, probably never again. So for flyweight division, you have Joshua Van who's fighting next. I guess he can be considered. Is he considered American? No, I don't think so. He's not. Yeah. So you have Van, Moreno, Royval's American, but I don't think Royval is going to be fighting for the belt, and everybody else is not American. So at flyweight, you don't really have any options. Bantamweight, I don't really think you do either. I mean Corey, but I don't think Corey's beating Marab. And then everybody else is like not American. That's legitimate contenders. Sean is American, but I don't think Sean's fighting Marab again. At featherweight, once again, nobody. Ortega is the highest ranked guy. He's not fighting for a belt. Maybe Aljamain Sterling could put a couple fights together and or a couple wins together and maybe contend for a belt. But Dana hates Aljamain Sterling. I don't think he's going to put Aljo on the White House card. I think he wants better or more exciting fights. At lightweight, Gaethje's going to be retired by then, I feel. Poirier's obviously going to be retired by then. There's nobody. It's really nobody. Welterweight, Sean Brady, I guess he's probably the most likely American to become champ, but I honestly think JDM is kind of a tough stylistic matchup for Brady. If JDM beats Islam, of course. Usman, I think he's a little bit old. Middleweight, Strickland's not becoming champ. Jared Cannonier, unfortunately, is not either. Fluffy is not. There's nobody else. Light heavyweight, Roundtree, maybe Roundtree. Maybe he can become a champ. I think Roundtree's pretty good. He's done a pretty good job at improving, honestly. But maybe he could. Dominic Reyes, I don't think it's super likely, but maybe. Gaethje ain't getting a title shot. Yeah, I hope he doesn't. Listen, he doesn't deserve it. It's pretty obvious he doesn't deserve it. I mean, he's on a 1-fight win streak, and before that, he got knocked out by Max Holloway, so he definitely doesn't deserve it. And even the one fight that he won against Fiziev, it's a good win, but it wasn't like like super impressive, like a super impressive finish. This guy needs to get a title shot next. So yeah, I don't think he deserves it. What else? Is there anything else? I thought I saw something that popped up. Maybe not. Oh, okay. By the way, the Gelton Almeida fight is in Abu Dhabi, UFC 321. That's a pretty good one. UFC usually does a good job at putting good cards in Abu Dhabi. I was kind of talking about this recently, but the cards that are like legitimately good at this point, it's like a handful of pay-per-views. It's the Abu Dhabi pay-per-view is usually pretty good. The New York pay-per-view is usually good. There's usually like one Vegas or maybe more than one, but at least one Vegas pay-per-view a year that's pretty good. It's usually for International Fight Week. And outside of that, Miami card's pretty good. But there's a lot of cards, like a lot of filler cards in Vegas, a lot of filler cards like in Louisiana that's coming up. I feel like there's just like too many filler cards. Man, America's nobody. Yeah, really nobody. The only guy, the guy that I guess I would say is the most likely to become champ, the American, is probably Sean Brady, and I really don't think he's going to become champion. But outside of him, yeah, there's honestly like really nobody. At a heavyweight, Curtis Blades already lost to Tom, so I don't think I don't think he would beat Tom. And yeah, there's really nobody. I guess maybe Sean Brady or Khalil Roundtree. I don't know if Khalil's going to become champ, but maybe I would say that's the most likely guy. But there's really not too many guys. It's really not. They got to improve the talent pool. But But yeah, maybe I should start training. I'll be in the UFC in 2 years. Just kidding. But yeah, we'll see what happens for the Americans. That's kind of why I feel like the UFC is limiting themselves a little bit with the White House card, unless they just say like whatever, and they just put like 2 non-Americans in the main event. But Conor versus Chandler, I mean, it's a big fight, I guess, and it's American, so I could see them doing that. And for John Jones, he's American, obviously, also, and he would probably be fighting for a title. So that's why I could see them doing those 2 fights for the card. And I think for both guys, for Connor and John, it'll be, they'll fight at the White House and that's it. Then they'll officially be done, which, I mean, obviously a lot of fans, I don't think care that much about that. But I think for the UFC, both of those guys they're going to sell really well for them pay-per-view wise. So, yeah, I think maybe Dana wants to squeeze one more big pay-per-view event out of Connor and John. And if they could be on the same card, it'll be like a ridiculous amount of pay-per-view sales, I think. So maybe they'll do that, but we'll see. I also kind of like the idea, or definitely like the idea of the UFC putting together just the best fighters in the world fighting at the White House, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it is unfortunate. Honestly, I'm really bummed out by the Movsar Evloev pullout. I was really excited for that card next week. And that fight was honestly probably the fight that I was most excited about. It's just a really good fight, legitimate number 1 contender matchup, and also we would push ahead potential title fight at 145. But now we kind of just have to wait a little bit longer. But still, I think the card next week is still pretty good. Renner de Ridder versus Whitaker. I have a video about that fight coming out pretty soon. Peter Yan and Marcus McGee. Peter Yan is always fun to watch. Bryce Mitchell and Nurmagomedov. I actually think Bryce has a chance to win that fight. And then Shara versus Marc-Andre Barrio. Whatever. They moved the Evloev fight. Yeah, I believe they're moving it to UFC 319, so not too long. And it really bolstered that card for 319. I would assume that'll be the co-main event. That's a pretty big fight. But co-main event that Evloev versus Pico, main event Hamzat and DDP. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch there. So we'll see what they're able to do to fill out the rest of the card. And I already know what's his face is already on that card. Let me find it. Blanking out on his name. Jeff Neal and Prates already on the card. So that's going to be a banger. Kaya Sakura is a fun fighter. Cannonier and MVP, that could be interesting, but it's kind of like a weird fight, honestly. Cannonier versus MVP, but I guess that could be interesting as well. Brett, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Give me 4 years. I'm going to get into the UFC if I want to. Hell yeah, let's go. We should train together, Pencil. We'll be Colby Masvidal without the beef. And I'll have one spot that I have an advantage in. You'll have one spot that you'll have an advantage in, whether that's wrestling or striking. And we'll be training partners, and we'll go forward from there. But yeah, man, I honestly do really want to train. I keep like putting it off. I keep saying like, oh yeah, I want to train, but I never actually do it. I have a pretty good gym like pretty close to me, so I definitely want to get into it. And who knows? Maybe I'll start training. I'll really like it, and I'll want to compete. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool. But I know somebody for my old high school that's been training for a while. I don't know how many years, but he's been training for a while. And he actually fights. So I've seen him fight before. It's pretty fun to watch. It's pretty cool. But yeah, same MB. Dude, we could all train together. Me, Pencil Shavings, and MB will all train together, and we'll be some potential competition for America. Some good guys. Oh, Brett, thanks so much. Thanks so much for the donation. Seriously, I really appreciate that. I'll give you a heart. That's really nice of you. I don't have much, but I hope this helps. It's just you being here and chat, leaving comments and everything is really nice. And obviously, any donation, even if it was 1 cent, it's really really nice. So thanks so much, Brett. I really do appreciate it. This will be going towards a good cause. I'm trying to get a new computer here. I mean, there hasn't been too many issues this stream, but in a lot of my streams, my computer just gets too hot, and like at one point in my stream, it usually tweaks out where it's super laggy or whatever. The camera quality is not great either. I mean, this camera's okay. It's not amazing, but it's okay. So yeah, I'm trying to upgrade my computer. I currently have an iMac, but this is from, I don't know what year this is from. It's not new. So I was thinking about getting a new one. Oh well, it's 2021. It's not that old, I guess. But yeah. But anyways, thanks so much though. Seriously, I really do appreciate that. I'll leave your comment on screen. But yeah, what is your UFC hot take? I don't understand. My hottest. Well, this was not something that I was super confident in, but one video that I put out not too long ago that everybody hated, everybody was bashing on me for, was I thought Telson Teixeira would beat Derek Lewis, and I was getting so much hate pre-fight, and obviously after the fight, I'm getting clowned quite a bit. So maybe you could say that one, but that wasn't even something that I was super confident in. It was just something that I thought would happen, and it didn't happen. But my hottest UFC take that everybody will hate. Let's see. Well, I have a few takes that I don't know that everybody would hate, but I think Topuria would beat Islam at 155. I'm actually like pretty confident in that. But I don't think that's a super hot take or anything. Obviously, there'll be people who disagree, but I don't think it's a super hot take. I think Dricus is I actually think he's going to beat Hamzat. Is that a hot take? Probably not, maybe, but not a super hot take. I don't know. Let me think. Let's think. It's a good question. Super hot take. Topuria be quadruple champ. Listen, Topuria's gonna, he's gonna beat everybody. He's gonna be the champ of 170, 185, middleweight, light heavyweight, and then he'll knock out Tom Aspinall to cap it off. So I agree with you. But it's a great question. Fuck, I can't think of it. What's a super hot take? I guess. I always thought Steve Erceg would become a champion. He almost beat Pantoja. He got the closest to beating Pantoja, probably. Either him or Moreno. Obviously, he took a couple losses in a row. I really want to give you a good answer here. I'm just trying to think. I can't think of something. Let's go through my videos, see if I posted anything that's perceived to be controversial. Let's see. Let's go through this together. I'll share my screen. And let me know if I come across something that, oh, fuck. Now I have to, oh, you know what I could do, actually? I'll just do this. Easy fix. But let me know if there's some sort of hot take that you guys don't agree with or anything. I think Vinicius is going to win. I think Gene Silva is going to dismantle Diego, but I don't think either one of those are hot takes. Let's see. Usman versus Bilal won't be close. I think Usman's going to beat Bilal. I don't know if that's a hot take, though. This video came out before he beat Royval. So maybe now that's not a hot take, bro. Okay, fine. This is what I'll say. I'm not even super confident in this, but just to give you a hot take, Francis Ngannou would beat Tom Aspinall. I don't even know if I believe that, but maybe that's a hot take. Or one that I actually do believe is Michael Morales is going to become a champion. I actually think he's going to become a champ. So maybe that's the answer. That's what I'll give you. Nothing amazing. I think DDP wins as well. Yeah, I think so, Brett. You have good thumbnails. Thanks, bro. Thanks so much. I don't make them myself. I actually I work with a guy that edits my videos and makes my thumbnails, so he does a great job. But is the Vloya fight off? Yeah, well, it's off for next weekend, but they're just moving it to UFC 319, I believe. So it's going to be on that card. But yeah, this video was this didn't age very well. But yeah, I guess I'll say Morales is going to become a champion. That's what I'll say. Damn, it's a fight I wanted to see. Yeah, I agree. Me too. I wanted to see that fight so badly. I really wanted to see that fight. But I mean, we're still going to see it, which is the good news. But we're just going to have to wait a little bit. But I guess once we actually get to UFC 319, it's going to be worth it, I think, just because that card is actually going to be pretty stacked now with that fight, the main event, obviously Hamzat DDP, and Protest as well on the card. But yeah. You think he beats Volk? You're talking about Evloev beats Volk? Sorry, I'll keep this on screen. But you think Evloev beats Volk? No, I actually think Volkanovski beats Evloev. I think Evloev's a pretty good fight for Volk. At this point, yes, Volk is getting a little bit older, obviously, but his skills are still there. He's still really fast. Obviously, he's one of the most skillful guys in the UFC. So I think against a guy like Evloev, he has a really good chance to have success on the feet. I think he would have success on the feet. And even in terms of the wrestling, I think he'll be able to stop takedowns from Evloev. I think it'll be a tough fight for sure, but I think Volk wins. I think at this point, really the guys that would give Volk trouble are guys that hit really hard, alongside with the fact, like, if they're also technical. I think for Lopez, the reason why we saw Volkanovski win was because Lopez hits really hard, yes, but he's not that technical. And I think Volkanovski was able to see a lot of the punches coming his way, and he was able to draw up a really good game plan to beat Diego. But a guy like Gene Silva, I think, will beat Volkanovski because he hits really hard and he can take a shot well, and he's also very technical as well. I want to see that fight over the ER fight. Wait, which one? Volk does study. Which fight do you want to see? Sorry. You want to see Yair, I'm assuming you're saying. Yeah, I don't think the Yair fight's happening, which is good news. I talked about this before. I could be completely off basis here, but I think probably what happened is the UFC was supposed to go to Guadalajara for a pay-per-view event in September, and it was supposed to be Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez for that card. Obviously, Yair didn't deserve that title shot, but there's no real other Mexican guy that I think the UFC could have put on a pay-per-view in a title fight. So I think they were kind of just pushing Yair to fight Volkanovski. But when Dana White decided to co-promote Canelo versus Crawford, and that's going to be on the same day as Noche, then the UFC decided to take the card out of Guadalajara. This is not based on anything, by the way. This is just what I'm thinking. So I think the UFC at that point decided to move the card from Guadalajara and make it a fight night, so they can make it earlier on in the day. And how they'll have it is they'll have Noche UFC like a little bit earlier on in the day, and then Canelo versus Crawford later at night. And those two events won't really affect each other. I think that's probably what happened. And because of that, Yair Rodriguez kind of lost himself a title fight. I think that's probably what happened, which I think is actually good news, because Yair didn't deserve the title fight, and Evloev versus Volkanovski is a much better fight. I mean, Yair's on a 1-fight win streak against the guy from PFL, and it wasn't even a good performance. And Volkanovski already beat Yair and finished him in the past, so. Yeah. Evloev or the Yair versus Volk. Yeah, I agree. Yair versus Volk. I didn't think it's not really a fight that I would be super interested in seeing. I mean, I guess it's possible Yair could win. He has good kicks, but Volk probably would win. I guess I'll start to throw your comments up again. Man, age is the best place for MMA. I can spend 4 years just training and still become the next champ. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. Usually in most sports, you kind of see, guys really get into their prime like earlier on, or at least the best players in a given sport are usually like younger guys. But in the UFC, maybe this trend is turning a little bit, but for the most part in the UFC, guys, most of the champions are like 30 plus years old. Not everybody, but most of them are a little bit older. And their window is also pretty small as well, which is interesting. A lot of the champs are like 30 or older, and usually after 35, it's very hard to you know to continue to be a champion and defend. Obviously, there's that ridiculous stat. I believe it's 170 and under. You know, champions are like 3 and whatever. Ironically, Bilal Muhammad broke the trend. Was one of the guys to break the trend, but yeah, it is interesting. The more young UPA, the more CTA. That's true. That's true too. That's true too. Yeah, if you're a young guy, like, it's unfortunate, but I think actually a good example of this is the guy who Vicente Luque. I always blank out. Vicente Luque, I think, is a great example of it. I think Luque is like 29 years old. He's really not old, but he's taken so much damage over the years. A lot of people think he's over the hill at this point, which he probably is. Let me double check that. I think he's 29, but he's just like he's pretty young. But let's see. He's 33. Actually, I was off. He's 33, but he's still pretty young, based on based on some factors. I guess I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, he's taken a lot of damage throughout his career. Like Holloway, that's another good one. Yeah, Holloway's taken a lot of damage over the years. And also, like, Holloway and Vicente Luque, they kind of have styles where they get hit a lot. And yeah, Bilal actually fought like hell against JDM. That Bilal I can watch, so don't like him as person. But yeah, Bilal did put on a fun fight. He did have more success than I expected him to. He was able to land some decent shots on JDM, and obviously he did push a little bit higher of a pace than he normally does, and a lot of the takedowns that he was going for were stuff, so he was kind of forced to stay on the feet anyway. But yeah, it was a fun performance, I would say, from both guys, from JDM and Bilal. I thought Bilal, if he wanted to win the fight, I thought he probably should have shot more takedowns. But in terms of entertainment value, he did a good job at, honestly keeping up with JDM to an extent, putting on a relatively fun performance, and yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. But I think, honestly, we're going to start to see Bilal fight like he did previous, where he's going to, shoot more takedowns, hold top position, and there's not going to be too much action. I think, he tried it out. He didn't really have much success. I mean, JDM is a very, very good striker. He might be the most slick striker at that weight class, one of the most slick strikers in the UFC. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens for Bilal. Well, the fight that I want to see next for Bilal is him versus Usman. They have the beef. They're both former champions at this point, and I think it'll be a fun fight. But I've heard rumors that Bilal is going to fight Shafkat next, but Shafkat also said he doesn't want to fight a non-title fight next. So, but yeah, Bilal shot 9 times. It's a lot. Yeah, I mean, he shot like a lot of times, but I thought, it's pretty clear that JDM has a significant advantage in the striking over Bilal, and yes, he did stop takedowns, but there were a lot of sequences where JDM was able to back Bilal down, put combinations together, and I thought probably would have been a good idea to shoot a little bit more just to avoid that. I guess what I thought Bilal should have fought, like, maybe he's not capable of doing this, but I thought he should have fought like Merab. But listen, maybe I'm like, he might not be capable of doing that. But what I mean is, when Merab fought Peter Yan, what Peter Yan does the best is put punches in combination and start to go to work. That's really where he does his best work. But when Merab went up against Peter Yan, he shot so many times it never allowed Peter Yan to really get going, and that's why it was a 50-45. Yan is not really like a one-punch power kind of guy, and I don't think JDM is either. Both of those guys, I think, need to feel their way into a fight, really start to put combinations together. And I thought Merab did a phenomenal job at taking away Peter Yan's best ability. Now, listen, maybe Bilal is not able to do what Merab does. He's probably not. I don't know if anybody's able to do what Merab does. But I thought a similar style to that, just not allowing JDM to get, to be able to throw combos, would have probably been a better idea. But in the fight, JDM did a good job at backing Bilal down. He did a good job at putting some combos together, landing a bunch of left hands. He was landing a lot in that fight. and he was able to get the win. Now, I don't want to take too much away from JDM because I think JDM's a really, really good fighter. He did a great job at making improvements, stopping takedowns, and obviously on the feet, I think I don't think he gets enough credit. I think he's one of the slickest strikers in the UFC. Top 3, top 5. He's really, really good. Bilal almost got taken down by JDM. He created taking the balls. Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah. There's a lot of that. One other thing I thought about the shorts. One thing that I honestly think about a lot, honestly, is when Charles Oliveira almost submitted Arman, and Arman was wearing the loose shorts, and he was able to get out because he was wearing the loose shorts. This is kind of unrelated, honestly, but it just made me think of it when you were talking about the shorts. I think that loose shorts should be like banned in the UFC. I guess it doesn't happen that much, but if Arman was wearing tight shorts, I think Oliveira would have submitted him. But that's just a random thought that came to my mind. Doesn't really have to do with Bilal, but yeah. Do you pay for Fight Pass? I did in the past. I don't anymore. Just because I pay for all the pay-per-views, and I kind of get to see all the fights anyway. And for fight nights, I have ESPN Plus, so I can see the fights anyway from there. So I don't pay for Fight Pass. I guess Fight Pass is more. I did pay for it in the past, and I guess I used Fight Pass in the past more for fights that were like classic fights. But any fights from, I don't know when the UFC came, joined with the UFC, but let's say 2019 or 2018, most fights from there on out, you're able just to see on ESPN. So that's usually where I watch fights back. But if I ever had the interest of watching like an all-time classic, honestly, a lot of them are posted on the UFC's YouTube channel. But obviously it's not everything. Overseas they got Fight Pass for free. Oh, that's really cool. Actually, it seems like overseas everything's free. Everything's free or cheaper or whatever. I think they also get what do they get for free? Like boxing fights, or is it also UFC fights? UFC pay-per-views are free or something. I think it is UFC pay-per-views are free there. I guess it depends where overseas, but I believe they are free. It's just us in the US. We got to pay for all these fights. One thing that I would like to see with the UFC, by the way, is dynamic pricing. It's a double-edged sword, but paying $80 or however much it is for Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway, and then paying $80 for what's it called, for Hamzat and DDP, the same price for both of those cards, I think is kind of ridiculous. But it is a double-edged sword because maybe they'll charge you like $200 to watch DDP Hamzat. So maybe it's the best. They just keep it the way they have it. Wonder if I could use a VPN. Yeah, maybe. I guess try it out. I wouldn't be shocked if they had a VPN blocker. I know some of the streaming sites have that, but maybe not. Maybe it will work for Fight Pass. Fight Pass doesn't seem to me that it's like a super well run thing, so maybe they don't check for that. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it would be pretty cool though. I guess try it out, let me know how it goes. I kind of hope it works. That'd be cool just to use it and watch some of the older fights. You should explain a video on fighter weight. I don't get it. What do you mean, like why they cut so much weight, or why they're all like so much heavier? Thanks for the video idea, by the way. Yeah, I'll for sure do that. But yeah, do you mean like that they're just so much heavier? Like Pereira is like 245 and he's fighting at light heavyweight, or who's another big guy? Who's another big guy? It's Michael Morales. Michael Morales is obviously a middleweight fighter, but he fights at welterweight. I don't know what he walks around at, but he's definitely significantly bigger than anybody else at welterweight. But yeah, there's so many guys that are just so big. Even Islam was really big for 155. There's so many guys that just cut so much weight. But yeah, I'll make a video about that. But just to clarify, is that what you mean? Or do you mean just like fighters cutting so much weight? Like, why are they able to cut so much weight, or whatever? Is that what you're talking about? But yeah, be more specific. Yeah. I don't mind to make a video on that. I think it is actually a pretty good video idea. I just wanted to clarify exactly what you were referring to. But yeah, I kind of have like a good thing going at this point where I have a lot of videos scheduled already. I've recorded a lot of videos already, and I have a good schedule of videos coming out for the next couple of weeks. But as I said, I am going to be starting to upload 3 times a week as opposed to the 2. So really what I would like to do is if there's a big card coming up, that specific week. So for example, for this week, I have 2 videos coming out specifically about this upcoming card. But going forward, I think I'm going to do 3. So I would like to have one video that has more longevity to it. Like, as you said, like a weight cutting video or something like that, that has longevity to it. And then the other 2 videos would be about that specific card, that upcoming weekend. So yeah, the walk around weight thing. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Yeah. There's guys that just like cut a ridiculous amount of weight. I'll actually write that down. Thanks for the video idea though, seriously. Yeah, I'll think of some ideas for that, and I'll put something together. But what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something good too. What was I gonna say? Fuck. Yeah, I don't remember. Completely blanked out. But yeah, no, that would be fun. Let's see. Is there anything new? MB posted a YouTube logo. Thanks. Thank you. But let's see. This is good news. I mean, this is boxing. It's not really MMA, but this is very cool, actually. Turkey Al Sheikh is eliminating the pay-per-view for all future events beginning in November. Oh fuck! Actually, I just realized beginning in November. That means the Canelo card is going to cost money. That's the thing. I'm not like a huge boxing fan, but I'll watch like the big fights. But I also don't want to pay for them because the thing about boxing is it's just like one fight that's good, or that I know, fighters that I know at least. The main event, Canelo Crawford or something like that. But outside of that, there's not too many like big name fighters. So I don't really want to pay for boxing events. So I kind of just watch it after or whatever. But yeah, if only the UFC did this. Listen, maybe I'm naive or whatever, pipe dream. I think it is possible that the UFC could do this if they sign with Netflix. They would have to sign with Netflix. I know there were some rumors that they were just going to re-sign with ESPN, but I saw Dana White talking recently about that the next broadcasting partner is going to be more global. And if it's ESPN, how that doesn't make any sense. That more global than they are now, and they're currently with ESPN, and they just re-sign with ESPN. That doesn't really make much sense. So I think it's honestly possible that the UFC signs with Netflix. I really want that to happen because, as you said, pay-per-views are not guaranteed, but most likely I think they'll be free. And also, most people just have Netflix anyway. So you just fire up Netflix, fire up a pay-per-view. More people are going to be exposed to it. More people are going to watch it. And I think overall it'd be a better idea for the UFC. But yeah, is it normal for chat to block certain questions? I hope not. I don't know. I've heard, I've seen like a bunch of times when some guys type in chat, it'll say like message redacted or whatever. So I can't actually see it. But yeah, just ask the question again. I'm not personally like blocking any questions or anything. I think it's like a UFC a YouTube moderation kind of thing. I don't know if I could turn that off. but maybe it's that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. It did for you. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe just type the question again or type it in a different way. I don't really know why that's happening. I'm a little bit new to this whole live streaming thing, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it would be nice if the UFC just signed with Netflix. It's kind of annoying, it's a bad feeling when you pay for a pay per view. It's what at this point $80. Speaking of, I gotta buy this upcoming pay per view. Let's see how much it is. Let's see. It's all right. They don't tell you how much it is anymore. I think it's $80. I had a funny story with one of my friends once. There was one time where he logged in. He logged in on my TV to his ESPN account because he already bought the UFC pay per view that week. So he would just so we just came over and we were just watching from his account on my TV, because usually what I do is I have the boys over, we watch a UFC pay-per-view card together. Anyways, so he did that one week. Then for the next pay-per-views that happened after that, this was going on for like 5 months or 6 months. Every time there's a pay-per-view, he would just be like, I don't know what's happening. I think I'm getting the pay-per-views for free, or I think ESPN knows I'm gonna buy the pay-per-views, so they're just giving it to me for free. And then what had happened was I was buying the pay-per-views on his account and I didn't even realize. And then on his end, he was just getting them for free. And we didn't notice this for like 5 months or 6 months or whatever. And then finally we realized, but it was pretty funny. But yeah, let's see. But anyways, all right, yeah. So the pay-per-view this weekend is $80. So I guess what I was saying before is it would be really nice just to see, just to not have to pay this like once a month. But we'll see what happens. We'll see where the UFC decides to end up. I don't know when the date was. I thought it was pretty soon, November, I think, or September. I think maybe it's November, where the UFC is going to make a decision on where they're going to sign. There really hasn't been many rumors. I saw, as I said, I saw a while ago they're going to re-sign with ESPN, but but that was a while ago at this point, and I hope that's not accurate. But we'll see what they do. You watch Barnell Brothers? I do not. I do not. I haven't heard about that actually. What was it about? Oh, it's about MMA. It's pretty cool. I'll look into it. Who has the dumbest game plan in the UFC? Michael Chandler, probably. That's the first name that comes to mind. Chandler. He's actually a good wrestler. I mean, I feel like he could wrestle some guys, but he doesn't. He just kind of goes, balls to the wall, throws big shots, and gets countered a lot of the time and finished or just loses. I'll say Michael Chandler, or another good one is Kevin Holland. I think current Kevin Holland is a different fighter. I actually think he's pretty focused at this point. I think his game planning is a lot better. In his last few fights, he actually looked pretty good. But I think the Kevin Holland previous, like the Kevin Holland, for example, when he fought Wonder Boy, that was ridiculously low level IQ. He had top position. He was losing. I mean, he landed a big shot in the first round. I'll give him credit, but he was striking against one of the better strikers. And he was kind of just playing his game at range. He was kind of getting picked apart eventually. He even broke his hand. He got top position somehow on Wonder Boy, and he decided just to get back up. I thought the IQ there was pretty low, but I guess in terms of a fun fight, it was good. Warnhard Bros is on YouTube. They're a good small channel. Oh, for sure. I'll definitely be sure to check them out. Thanks so much for the suggestion. Maybe we can react to some of their videos on live stream for one of these upcoming ones. What do you think about Cody Garbrandt's chin? Certainly not very good. Not very good. Definitely not good. But yeah, I guess it's unfortunate. I think the thing about Cody, though, everybody says his chin's the reason for why he had this decline, which is true for sure. But I also think he has pretty low IQ, fighting IQ as well. But what are you gonna do? It's not great, but we'll see. He also his game playing is not great. Sup with the sword tat? Sword tat? I don't have any tattoos. If you were saying that, I don't have any tattoos. But yeah, unless you meant something else. But anyways, oh, I'm Cody. I thought you meant me. I'm Cody. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a midlife crisis kind of thing. That's pretty funny, actually. It's a midlife crisis kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. Reinventing himself. I don't know. What the fuck did Cody go around? Yeah, I don't know. It's not a great stylistic matchup for Cody in the fight, and also the way he fought was kind of dumb. You don't want to trade with a guy like KKF. He hits really hard, and especially for Cody, his chin is just not good. So, kind of how it played out was how it was going to play out. Listen, I don't think Charles has like horrible game plans or whatever, but I also thought, Charles fighting Ilya, you cannot get in the pocket against this guy. Charles's chin is not amazing. It's not terrible, but it's not amazing. And he does take a lot of shots. Don't go in the pocket. Charles did it and he got knocked out. I love Charles. He's one of my favorite fighters ever. But it's kind of a similar thing. I thought it wasn't the best idea to fight like that. I would never think about getting that shit. Yeah. It's an interesting tattoo to say the least. And definitely trying to reinvent himself. I was pretty annoyed with Cody in his last fight. I thought he should have won. Barcelos is a good fighter. His striking is like decent. He has good wrestling, but Cody hurts him in the first round. He's showboating or whatever, and then he loses the fight. But besides that, like his game plan wasn't very good. He had one combination that he threw. Well, he'll just run forward in a straight line, I think it was a 2 or 3 punch combination. It worked the first time he tried it, but he didn't make an adjustment at all. He did that exact same combination throughout the fight. Obviously, UFC level guys are going to see that combination coming, and the speed itself wasn't enough for Cody to land another shot, and he ended up losing the fight. I thought it was just, not a great performance, but more embarrassing getting knocked down by team kick or up kick. Yeah. Who got knocked out by teep kick? It was Dan Hooker versus Puelles or something like that. That was a ridiculously bad performance. I don't know if that guy's still in the UFC. I don't know if he's in the UFC, but he just kept getting teep kicked by Dan Hooker, and he just gave up. It was kind of weird. And knocked out by an up kick. That happened in women's MMA the last time I remember. It was like an up kick to the body or to the liver, some weird thing. And in the UFC, Charles landed an up kick on Islam, but obviously he didn't find the knockout. But yeah, I don't know. I guess also another kind of embarrassing one was when Kevin Holland was on his back and he landed like one shot on his back and he knocked out. I forgot the guy's name, the Brazilian guy. I guess that's kind of on par. Cody has decent footwork. He has good footwork. He does. It's just the thing about Cody is he just doesn't make adjustments. As I said, he had that one combo that he continued to throw constantly, and it worked the first time that he threw it, but it didn't work at all after that. But he just continued to do it, and then for the rest of the fight, he kind of just got backed up alongside the cage. He was needing to defend takedowns a bunch of times, which he has great takedown defense. There's so many like good things about Cody that that you would really like. It's just his IQ and his game planning, whatever. It's just not the best sometimes. He has great defensive wrestling. Even offensively wrestling is not bad. He has really good footwork. He's ridiculously fast. He has decent power. But it's just not amazing. Chandler upkick Ferguson. That's like a front kick, but yeah, close, I guess. That was a really bad knockout. James Vick got knocked out with an upkick. What the fuck? James Vick's chin is something interesting. It's another really weird chin moment when, dude, this is ridiculous. I keep thinking of certain things, and then I just completely blank out on who it was. It was a flyweight fighter. It was, let's see if he's still ranked. I think retired. Yeah, he's not ranked. All right, I'm gonna find this guy's name because this is annoying me. All right, he fought Sumadarji in like an all-time fight. It was in New York, actually. I actually saw that fight. It was tremendous. I'm forgetting this guy's name. All right, let's see. Let's see Sumadarji's last fights, and we'll figure out who it was. Matt Schnell, that's who it was. Matt Schnell had one fight where I think he was on top or he was on the bottom or whatever, but it was like the lightest hammer fist, like literally the lightest hammer fist, and he went out cold. It was like ridiculous. Like what is that chin? But yeah, that was another like weird chin moment. I like Dillashaw. He's the opposite of Cody. Dillashaw's fight IQ. Yeah, he has pretty good fight IQ. His fight against when he fought Cody or Corey Sandhagen, I thought his game planning was really good. I mean, he popped his knee out right away, and he still found a way to win that fight. A lot of people thought that Corey won that fight, which maybe they have a case for that. But I thought in terms of the game planning and IQ, I thought Dillashaw did a pretty good job in that one. Did you see what weight class would you be if you compete in MMA? I walk around. I mean, I would like to lose a little bit of weight, but I walk around at like 200. So, but I would also like to lose a little bit of weight. When I was in my best shape, I was like 185. So maybe 170, maybe 155. The thing is, like, these guys are really big though. So like at 170, I might be pretty small. I'm 6 foot, in good shape, 185. Right now I'm like probably a little bit under 200. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the traditional walking around weight is for 155. Maybe it is 185. I don't know. But yeah, I guess I got to see because I know a lot of these guys are very big. But I will be taller than Taporia, and he fights. Well, obviously, but he may fight at 170. If I get knocked out with an up kick, I'm killing myself. Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, it is kind of like a weird thing, just because you have an advantage and you just get up kick and knocked out. That would be interesting, I guess. I'm a flyweight. Oh yeah, it's not bad. What's your walking around weight, if you don't mind me asking? I'm just curious. What it would be. What would I be? Would I be a lightweight or would I be a welterweight? Let's see. How big is Kamaru Usman? Let's see Usman. He's a pretty big welterweight. Let's see. Usman typically walks around between 190 and 200. He's also been mentioned to be closer to 183. All right, let's see. Now let's get a guy. All right, he walks around a little bit heavier than I do. He's also a lot more muscular. Lightweight, bro. Trust. Yeah, you're probably right. Probably lightweight. Brett says it looked like a welterweight. I'm 6 foot. I think I'd be big for lightweight. What's Taporia small for lightweight? What's who's the guy that cuts a lot of weight for 155? Let's see. Hooker's pretty big, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see. What does Dan Hooker walk around at? Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker walks around. Oh, fuck, it's not as easy. Dan Hooker walks around at 187. So yeah, I guess I could make 155. It's hard to hit 155. It would be a tough weight cut, yeah. Yeah, I don't really want to experience weight cutting. I think it would be pretty cool to I think it would be pretty cool to compete or whatever, especially if I train for a while. Obviously not at the beginning. I would have to train for a while, but theoretically if I did, it would be kind of cool, but the weight cutting process would be ridiculous, especially if it's like a lot of weight, like some of these guys do. Like Islam cutting to 155, that was a lot of weight. Or Pereira cutting down to 185, that was a lot of weight. Or Connor cutting down to 145, that was a lot of weight as well. Yeah, I mean, some of these guys have ridiculous cuts. I'm too short for bantamweight. What style would you have? I would assume striking. I would assume, but because I'm kind of like a more of like a fast twitch kind of guy. So I gas out pretty quickly. Well, it's weird. My cardio is kind of weird. So I obviously I don't train, but I play a lot of basketball. So that first game I'll be like very tired, but then I'll get my second wind and I can play for hours. But in an MMA setting, obviously it's much more intense than basketball. So for MMA, I'm assuming I would probably gas out relatively quickly. So I would assume a striker. Hopefully I hit hard. I don't actually know, but hopefully I hit hard. But what was today? Did you see Mike Perry's sparring Strickland? I did not. Was it a good spar? Oh, actually, I think I did. Where Strickland was going all out. It's funny. He goes all out in sparring, but in a fight, he'll just jab and teep kick the entire time. I think I did see that actually. Like Aspinall, yeah. If I could ever fight like Tom Aspinall, that'd be amazing. You seem like a nice man. Always be sure to be kind and surround yourself with love and kind people. I wish the best in life. Try to focus. I try never to present much, but thanks so much, man. That's a really beautiful message, and welcome to the stream, by the way. Yeah, I'm 25. But thanks so much. That was a really nice comment. Like DDP cardio, I think DDP has way better cardio than I do. The thing about DDP, he does get tired a lot. We do see it. But the thing about DDP is he just does a great job at pushing through things, which is very difficult to do, honestly. But yeah, I would be a volume striker. I have no power. Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, at flyweight, there's not too many people that actually have power. What is it? Just like KKF, Pantoja, Moreno, Manel Kopp. He doesn't even have an amazing power, but maybe Manel Kopp. Kai Sakura has good power. But besides that, like, not too many other people. There's not too many finishes at flyweight. Yeah, so like a volume striker is good. That would be nice, yeah. DDP is a rip muff. Yeah, he's one of the better builds. No Diddy, but he's one of the better builds in the UFC. Him or Paulo Costa. He is ripped, and it is kind of crazy how he's able to just push through things. He's got a lot of muscle on him, and usually when you see guys like that, they tend to gas out, especially because he presses forward a lot. He goes all out in all of his fights, honestly. It's very rare do you see Dricus staying still. He's usually throwing some sort of strike. When he fought Strickland the second time, or maybe it was the first time, or probably both, he threw a ridiculous amount of strikes. Obviously, he can take guys down, it just does a lot of things very well. Ilya style's a meta, but only if you have a grappling background, it'll work. Yeah, I agree. I think very slick. Well, Topuria also has like a lot of gifts. Like his chin's ridiculously good. Most guys don't take that head kick that he took against Jai Herbert. So his chin's ridiculously good. His power is ridiculous. His wrestling, as you said, he has a wrestling background and a grappling background. He's good submissions, good wrestling, very good wrestling, and he's done a great job at working on his boxing. I don't know how long he's been boxing. I'm sure it's a decent amount of time, but it kind of just seems like he's gotten significantly became a significantly good boxer in a pretty short amount of time. So it is pretty impressive to see what Topuria is able to do. And as you said, he does have a grappling background. But yeah, I would lay in pray wrestler when I get hurt. Yeah. Yeah. That's it's obviously not fun to watch, but when you're in there, if you get hurt, just take a guy down if you can and try to recover and rest. Dude is awesome on the ground as well. DDP. He definitely is. He's I actually think it's a pretty underrated aspect of his game, but he has great jiu-jitsu. He has really good jiu-jitsu. And And his wrestling is, he'll make some mistakes in the wrestling, but he's so physical, so physically strong that he gets away with it. Obviously, we've seen him, pull a guy on top of him before in the UFC, but Dricus makes a lot of mistakes out there, but he makes it work because he's so physical. He can take a shot really well. He's taken a lot of big shots over the years. Adesanya was able to have a lot of success against him, but Dricus kind of just eats everything and pushes forward anyway. So yeah, Dricus just does a great job at utilizing a style that fits his physicality the best, and yeah, that's really what he does effectively, honestly. But yeah, Dricus is really, really good. But yeah. Damn. DDP via jumping for cause. Do you think anybody could actually do that in the UFC? If anybody could do that, it'd be like Johnny Walker or someone. Johnny Walker's athleticism is like ridiculous. I almost said the R word. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but it's ridiculous. So yeah, if anybody were to do that, it'd be him. For DDP, I could see him getting taken down early and being put in some bad spots, but at the same time, I could see DDP just doing some like weird thing that Hamzat has never seen before, and he just like gets up or stops a takedown in a weird way or hurts Hamzat in a weird way. There's gonna be like some sort of weird sequence in this fight where Dricus, gains an advantage or something. I think in this fight, I would like to see DDP versus Till. That fight actually already happened. That fight already happened. I mean, the second fight. You mean for them to fight again? I don't think Till is gonna come back to the UFC, and even if he did, I don't think he would get a title shot. But theoretically, I guess that kind of was Dricus's closest fight. But early on in Dricus's career, when he's making that come up, that's why I thought he wasn't good initially. He was losing the first round in almost all of his fights, and then he would come on later. The same thing against Brunson. Obviously, Darren Till had a lot of success. Well, actually, maybe Dricus won the first round and later he lost. But there was always a round where he didn't look that great. And I don't think he looked that great against Till. But I think the Dricus of now would have a much easier time with Till. I think he'll just take him down and submit him. And his cardio's a lot better now than it was at that time. But yeah, Till has good things going for him. He has good power. He's good striking. But at this point, I think he's making a lot of money over there in boxing over at Misfits. And most of the guys he goes up against are not going to be that great anyway. So he's kind of getting a lot of money to fight guys that he's probably going to beat. So that's why I think he's staying over there. And that's why I think he'll probably just continue to do that until he retires, whenever that is. But yeah, I heard he's making a good amount of money, and he's actually like a good boxer, legitimately, and he has good power. And I don't remember who he fought in his last fight, but I don't think he fought anybody good, and he found a TKO, I believe. And I think he'll knock out Luke Rockhold as well. I mean, Luke Rockhold boxing, and he doesn't have a great chin, so I think it's kind of an easy fight for Till. Trick is my 720. I wouldn't be shocked. I definitely wouldn't be shocked. There's going to be some sort of weird sequence in this fight. There definitely is. DDP 10-8 in the first round, lost a second. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Or almost 10-8 in the first round, yeah. Gotta hit the hey, buddy. Good work in the morning. Thanks, bro. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for being in chat. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And also, thanks so much for the donation. I really appreciate that, Brett. Have a great day tomorrow at work. But yeah, it's been fun though. Streaming has definitely been really, really fun. As we've been doing this a little bit more, we obviously have some more people in chat as well. I believe Pencil Shavings as well as MB came over from that raid, so that was much appreciated. Thanks guys for being in the live streams. It's been really fun streaming. But yeah, no, it's definitely pretty cool. I didn't eat dinner yet, bro. It's 10 o'clock. What should I order, boys? What should I get? I have to go, getting late here. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Should I just end stream? That's fair. Thanks so much, MB, as well for all the questions and being in chat. Well, yeah, I mean, if you guys have any last second questions, be sure to let me know. I'll answer them. But if not, yeah, I think I'm going to end stream soon, or well, now I guess. But anyways, thanks so much for everybody for joining the stream. Once again, thanks Brett for the donation. Mexican is good. Yeah, it's a great point. I'll probably get Mexican. Thanks for the suggestion. I'll probably get that. Yeah, in the stream to Puerto Rico. Let's go. Thanks everybody for joining the stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. And until then, I'll see you guys. Peace out, boys.